Welcome to of our intro to Cricut design space. We are working with our card again that we started in part 1, and we will be using some of these tools down here on this toolbar to cut away different layers of our project and to get the desired effect. So the first thing I want to show you is the difference between slice and subtract. We won't be utilizing these tools in the card, but they are definitely tools you will utilize a lot in Cricut design space. So I'm going to be demonstrating them with this happy birthday image, or our layer, happy birthday layer. So we don't need these other layers, the have a wonderful day text and the cupcake image. So I'm going to go over here to the right and I'm going to hide them. See this little eyeball? We're just going to click and cross it off. And then the same with the text. And now the same with the line. So now all we have left is our rectangle card and our happy birthday layer. So for the happy birthday layer, the first thing I'm going to demonstrate is slice. So I'm going to select all, and that just selects what we have here on our canvas. And I'm going to click on slice. So what this does is, yes, it does take it away from our card. So all this full space is now empty and the empty space is full, and it will cut that way. But it still retains this layer. So you don't have, you would still, you still have this layer to work with if you choose. Now, you could put this layer behind this and you could still have a layered effect, or you could just hide that layer completely. You could hide all those layers completely and just print this. I'm going to bring those all back. So that's slice. So you still have that layer to work with, but you don't have to. All right, now I'm going to select all again. Oop, actually, I'm going to go back and undo everything so I can show you the difference between slice and subtract. Sorry about that. Okay. We have to go back one more. Okay. So now we're back to the beginning, and now I'm going to show you what subtract does. I got to position this correctly on here so it does what I want. It's not quite there. All right. There we go. All right. So now we're going to click select all again, and this time we're going to go to the combine function, and this brings up another menu, and here is subtract. So we're going to click on subtract, and this time it actually gets rid of that other layer, so it's completely gone, and it gives us the cutout of the happy birthday. So it took away that whole layer and just left what was empty is now full. Okay, so that's the difference between slice and subtract. However, I'm not going to use either of those in my card. So I'm going to go back again and undo those. And we're going to actually go and hide the happy birthday because I want to cut it out from a different color, leave it as is, and glue it onto the top of my card. So we're going to hide happy birthday. And then we're going to bring back the birthday cupcake. The birthday cupcake I do want cut out of my card. So we are going to use a different function this time. Again, we've kept all of our other layers hidden. We only want to work with the layer that we want to work with. So we're going to click on select all one more time. We're going to go back to this combine function. This time, in order to cut out the cupcake, we are going to use the exclude function. So when we click on the exclude function, it excluded it. It's all gone. So what the exclude function does is it inverts the layers. So if we hide that birthday cupcake, you'll see that it's actually still there. It's just inverted. So when we see it again, then we see our cut. So exclude sort of looks like subtract, but when we remove one of our layers, it's still there. But it does work very similar to subtract. Sometimes you have to play around with these to find out which one you really need to use, slice, subtract, or exclude. They're all very similar, and you just kind of have to play around with it to find out which one's going to work best for you for the design that you're looking for. Now, we still have to exclude or subtract or slice that text out too. So now we're going to go back to we're going to hide our birthday cake because we're finished with that layer, and we're going to open up and see our text layer. Now, the crazy part of that is it's below our rectangle. So I am not quite sure why that happened, but I think because we're doing a lot of slicing and stuff, that happened. So if sometimes it looks like you have lost something, go ahead and use the function of your layers toolbar here and go ahead and hide things until you find what you're looking for. So my rectangle is hidden right now, so I know where Have a Wonderful Day is, but I have it placed exactly where I want on my canvas. So I'm going to I'm going to unhide my rectangle. Boop, boop. I'm going to try and unhide my rectangle. Here we go. There we go. Now we can see it again. We're going to hide our cupcake. We've got our rectangle. We're going to select all, and then we're going to exclude again. And there we have our Have a Wonderful Day. Again, if we were to hide this, we wouldn't see it. But if we open it up and we hide our rectangle, we see it again. So we know it's correct. So again, that inversion, it's a little crazy and a little confusing, but it does what we want. So we're going to unhide all of our exclusions that we've done. And now we have exactly what we want on the back of our card. Everything will be cut out when we put it through the Cricut. And then I'm going to find a pretty paper to paste on the back of it so that it shows through those cut out points. Now let's open up our happy birthday. And it is behind now. Oop, it is behind there now, but that's okay because they're two separate layers that are going to cut on two separate pages of paper, and that's what we want. And we got to get our line in there, and we're going to have to move this guy over here and move our card back because we want that line right in the middle. Okay. The last thing we need to do is use the attach function. So we're going to go back and hide all of our things that we excluded. Sorry, we're going to go back and we're going to hide our birthday cupcake we excluded and our Have a Wonderful Day, so that we have our scoring line and our card left. We're going to click Select All, and then we are going to click Attach. So what Attach does is that you want to keep things together on your canvas and not make them movable so that they're separate. So basically it does what it says. It attaches them together and makes them one whole theme. So we're going to attach that score line to our card. And now, as you can see, we don't have to worry about them moving anymore. I should have done that a long time ago, but you get the gist. So the score line is now attached to the card, and you understand the attach function. You have two separate items. You want them attached together to make one. That's how you do it. You do it as attach. We're going to open up and we're going to make sure we see everything. We got our line. We got our happy birthday, which is going to go on top of there. And we're all set to print this card. Now I realize there are some other functions on this toolbar that I haven't gotten to. Don't worry, I will talk about weld and I will talk about intersect in another video that'll be coming up in part 3. But I want to get this card cut out of the Cricut and show you guys how we're going to do that. So I'm going to get my Cricut all set up, and when I come back, we're going to cut out the card. Okay, so now we are actually going to cut our card on the Cricut. So what we need to do here is we have to get our cardstock that we're using loaded into our Cricut, put on our mat, and then loaded into our Cricut. So the first thing we're going to cut is the happy birthday part. So I have a mat here. And this is your standard Cricut mat. It's the standard stickiness. It's, let's see, what is it? Standard grip, exactly. So we're going to peel the protective plastic layer off, and then we are going to take our cardstock. I've chosen this for the happy birthday. It's kind of fun and funky. And we are going to put it on our mat, placing it right side up and flattening it onto our mat. See, the sticky keeps it on there, okay? Then we are going to take it with this side facing towards the Cricut, and we're going to load it into our Cricut. So the Cricut has these 2 guides here on the side. We're going to load our Cricut mat in with those guides and making sure that it is hooked underneath these 2 spots, okay? Turn our Cricut on, and the magic's going to happen. Okay, so now that we have our mat ready, we're going to go back to the design space, and we are going to go through the steps in order to print our card, cut our card. Sorry, it's so hard to not think print, but it is cut the card. So we are going to head over to the design space and finish up our card. We are back at the design space and we are about to print. So the layer that I want to print first is this happy birthday layer. So we are going to hide all of the other layers so that the Cricut doesn't think it needs to print those as well. So we have to hide the card and the scoring line. So now we just have the happy birthday there, and we're going to go up here to make it, and we are going to click, and we are using a mat, and we need to click on that. For any material, we're using a mat. I'm not doing the pre-folded cards. Those you can purchase at Michael's and other places like that. You would need a special mat for that, and we do not have that special card mat here at the library. So we just do it on a regular mat. And we, if you choose to purchase Cricut Smart Materials, then you do not need a mat, but that would be your choice. And we are using the standard 12 by 12. We do have a 12 by 24 mat available here at the library, but this is the standard one that you are going to be using. And you click confirm. Okay, so Cricut generally always puts your design up in the upper left-hand corner. Now, if you are trying to use up materials and you have an odd shaped material piece, you can move it around. Once you get to this window, once you get to this point, you can move it around so that it will fit on those scraps of material that you'd like to use up. Today I have a fresh material, fresh piece of cardstock, so that I'm just going to leave it right there. Now we just want to take a look here at our menu. We've got a basic cut. That's what we want. On a mat, a 12 by 12 inch. This mirror right here, we do not need to mirror. You will need to mirror when you are doing iron-on work, or if you ever use the other heat-based materials. So if you're making mugs, or you're making vinyl t-shirts with vinyl on it, those are the things that you're going to mirror so that when people look at it, it's not backwards. But for this, we do not need to mirror. So we are going to click continue. And then we're just waiting for our machine. All right, so first it wants to know what kind of material we are using. These are just materials that I have bookmarked because I use them a lot. But if you do not have that, you want to browse all materials, and then it's going to give you all the different types of materials that you could possibly cut with your Cricut. And it goes on and on and on, as you can see. So I do save and bookmark the materials that I use often because it makes it so much easier for me. I am using about a medium cardstock today. So I'm going to click on medium cardstock. Now, the fine point blade is already in the Cricut. That is generally what we have in the Cricut. It's kind of the default blade, unless you're doing other things like engraving, or you're using a heavier cardstock or a heavier, thicker material. Then you might use the deep point blade. You could also use the scoring wheel we'll be using in a moment when we do our actual card. So there are different tools, and it'll tell you which ones to load in the Cricut. So we aren't loading any materials right now. We are set, and we are going to press the load mat. We've loaded it already, so we're going to press the load button, and that's going to suck in our Cricut material. It's going to suck in our mat into the Cricut. So you can probably hear the Cricut working. It moves the Cricut, the mat back and forth to just get a feel for the paper. I'm not exactly sure all these inner workings of the Cricut. But in a moment, you will see the Cricut actually cutting the card. So we are ready to go. We're going to press go. And now the Cricut is going to cut our happy birthday. So as you can see, it kind of does a little more detecting, making sure we've got the paper in there correct. And now it starts to cut. And with the New Maker 3, it is quite quick. All right, so the Cricut has finished. So we're going to click on done. And then it spits out our finished product. So I'm going to go, we're going to go back to the actual physical Cricut, and we're going to watch how it cuts with our card. So I'll be joining you back in just one moment. Okay, so we are back, and we are going to cut our card. So we have our material loaded onto our mat and already ready for the Cricut. And then we are going to go ahead and press continue on the Cricut Design Space. So now it's going to run us through all of those things once again. Again, we've got a medium cardstock here. We've got to change our tool, however, in the Cricut. So in order to do that, we will need to go to B, and we're going to open it up and see how it pops open. Then we're going to take out our fine point blade, and we are going to replace it with our scoring wheel, which looks like this. So we're going to stick that in here, push that closed. Whoopsie, whoops, whoops. There we go. Push it closed. Oops, that's still not correct. There we go. Sometimes it takes a little bit. And then we're going to go up here and press our load button. And the Cricut is going to put our scoring line on our card. Now we're going to press go. Just got to figure it out. And there it goes. It's scoring our card. All right. Now we have to change our tool back. So we have to open that back up again, take our scoring wheel out, and I keep all of the tools right here in this handy little tool bin, and then we're going to put our fine point blade back in, close it up. Okay, and then our go button is blinking again, and we're going to press that. And now it's going to cut the rest of our card. So first it's cutting out all of the little letters, and it will cut out the cupcake after that. All right, it is almost finished, and then it has spit out our card. We press the unload button, and we have our card cut. So now we have to weed it. So part of that is just basically taking the material off, but then the parts we don't want are what we need to weed. So I'm going to pull off my card and hope some of those parts stay. Ah, look at that. Almost perfect for the letters. Just have to take a few out here. Now there are a bunch of weeding tools we do have here at the library that can be utilized to help with this. Weeding can be a pain sometimes. And I do want some of my cupcake. So because my cupcake is a bit layered, I do still want that excluded piece, this guy, so that when I do my card and I put my paper on, I will have the bits of the cupcake inside. So you want to keep those pieces that you weeded out. So we're going to come back and I'm going to show you the finished product after I glue it all on. Okay, I have pasted all of the pieces onto my card and the finished product is here. Happy birthday. And on the back, have a wonderful day. So all those little pieces that I weeded out, I glued back in so that that cute paper would show through. And I used the same paper as I did for the happy birthday. So hopefully you guys kind of understand how to use the Cricut, and there will be one more part to this video series for the beginners, and then you can start using the Cricut. Once you've watched parts 1, 2, and 3, please give us a call here at the library at 414-425-8214 to schedule a time to use the Cricut. If you have any questions, you can please email me at Kerry, K-E-R-I, Miller, M-I-L-L-E-R, at mcfliss.org. That's MCFLS.org. And I will have that email linked in the description of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed making this card with me. And don't forget to watch part 3. And then please give us a call here at the library to use the Cricut. Have a great day and happy crafting.